The vision of a brother's murder was recorded by English journalist William T. Stead, 1848 to 1912, editor of Pall Mall Gazette, and founder of the Review of Reviews. Stead was a champion of social reform and in later life became interested in psychic research. In St. Eglows in Cornwall, England, which is situated about 10 miles from the Atlantic Ocean and not quite so far from the old market town of Treboduena. George and Hart had never been separated since their birth until the former became a sailor. Hart at the same time joined his father in business. In February 1840, George Northey's ship was lying in port in St. Helena. While it was there, George had a strange dream, which he himself related. I dreamed that my brother Hart was at Trebono Market, and that I was with him, quite close by his side, during the whole of the market transactions. Although I could see and hear everything which passed around me, I felt sure that it was not my bodily presence which thus accompanied him, but my shadow, or rather my spiritual self, for he seemed quite unconscious that I was near him. I felt that my being thus present in this strange way betokened some hidden danger which he was destined to meet, and which I knew my presence could not avert, for I could not speak to warn him of his peril. My brother, having collected a considerable sum of money, then started on his ride homeward. My terror gradually increased as Hart approached the hamlet of Polkerow, until I was in a perfect frenzy, frantically desirous, yet unable, to warn my brother in some way and prevent him going further. I suddenly became aware of 2 dark shadows thrown across the road. 2 men appeared whom I instantly recognized as notorious poachers, who lived in the lonely woods near St. Eglows. The men wished him "Good evening, Meister," civilly enough. He replied and entered conversation with them about some work he had promised them. After a few minutes they asked him for some money. The elder of the 2 brothers, who was standing near the horse's head, said, "Mr. Northey, we know you have just come from Trebono Market with plenty of money in your pockets. We're desperate men, and you bean't going to leave this place until we've got that money, so hand over." My brother made no reply except to slash at him with the whip and spur the horse at him. The younger of the ruffians instantly drew pistol and fired. Hart dropped lifeless from the saddle, and one of the villains held him by the throat with a grip of iron for some minutes, as though to make assurance doubly sure, and crush out any particle of life my poor brother might have left. The murderers secured the horse to a tree in the orchard, and having rifled the corpse, dragged it upstream, concealing it in the overhanging banks of the watercourse. They then carefully covered all marks of blood on the road, and hid the pistol in the thatch of a disused hut close to the roadside, and then, setting the horse free to gallop home alone, they decamped across the country to their own cottage. George Northey's vessel left St. Helena the next day and reached Plymouth in due course. During the entire voyage back home, George Northey was constantly under firm conviction that his brother Hart had been murdered and that the vision had shown him the details and the murderers. He eventually reached port and his family. His brother Hart had been murdered, exactly as he visioned. The crime had aroused widespread horror and indignation, and every effort of the authorities had been bent upon discovering the murderers and bringing them to justice. 2 brothers named Hightwood were suspected. A search was made of their cottage, which revealed blood-stained garments, but no trace of the pistol was to be found, although the younger brother admitted having one, but said he had lost it. The brothers were arrested and brought before the magistrates. Evidence against them was certainly not strong, but their manner seemed that of guilty men. They were ordered to be tried at the forthcoming assize at Trebono. Each confessed in hope of saving his life, and both were sentenced to be hung. There was, however, some doubt about the pistol. Before the execution, George Northey arrived from St. Helena and discovered that the pistol was in the thatch of the old cottage close to the place where his brother Hart had been murdered and where the Hightwood brothers had hidden it. "How did you know?" he was asked, after the weapon had been found at the place he had stated. I saw the foul deed committed in a dream, which I had the night of the murder, he declared.